Okay. Itam exists a good day. It is around 11 o'clock in the AM on noonday, or no, sorry, Friday, opposite side of the week. Friday the 3rd of May 2024, in the last part of the lunar cycle Matsi Kapiseki Sum, the frog moon, which is our last winter moon. So we're just about to enter Apis Satos, the flower moon, the first of our summer rounds. And May 3rd happens to be my birthday. Turning 52 today. Kind of wish I could roll back the clock 2 years. Go back to my 50th birthday, which I celebrated with Brittany.
Happy birthday, dear Ryan. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, very cool. This is my birthday cake. All right. And if I could, knowing what I know now, if I could go back those 2 years and take a new angle on things and make some decisions differently and that kind of a thing. But as it is, I'm here at 52, solo. Don't know what kind of a birthday I'm gonna have today. It doesn't really matter. I had Ice Cube concert the other week, and that's more or less what I consider to be my birthday celebration for the year. Although I did have plans today. Wanted to take Maria Elena out and the kids. And originally we were talking about going to Drumheller and seeing Dinosaur Land and all of that stuff. And then we were going to settle for just a pool night in a hotel. And then a couple of days ago, I had things happen at the house that made me spend all my resources so that I don't have anything to go to a hotel with, which is all right. Check it out. Got Gander here, Mr. Gander, who's husband to this pretty lady out here, still incubating her eggs. She will be finishing up maybe in a week or so. Because remember, she didn't start sitting those eggs on Easter proper. It was another week or so before she did that. So we're coming to the new moon, and it won't be till like maybe the full moon that we should see some goslings and stuff around here. I'm taking a walk this afternoon here, or this morning, basically to do a little bit of scouting the place out. This weekend is the annual Jane's walks and stuff in Lethbridge, and I'm booked for 2 of those tomorrow. And then the Métis Nation had hired me to do a bird walk for them on Sunday here at Spopikimi. So just kind of checking in to see who's around. I'm hoping that we'll have some new migrants show back up because we're gonna have warm weather today, tomorrow. And I'm hoping a few new birds pop in, you know, like still waiting for yellow warblers to get here, still waiting for northern orioles, catbirds, house wrens. The swallows showed up, but still got a lot of others we're waiting for. I do got some jobs and stuff lined up for today and into the weekend. Going to be climbing up on a house in Ridgewood this afternoon and putting in some raccoon shielding. checking to see if maybe they do have a resident raccoon, because 2 nights ago they heard one on the roof, or they knew of one on their roof. So that's not a good sign, but we'll see what's going on with them. And then if I finish that today, I may already start working on the rattlesnake fencing that I have to do in Riverstone. I've got a job over there, but that might get pushed into tomorrow. Tomorrow, though, I do have, like I say, 2 different Jane's walks to lead. Well, one to kind of go along with, and then one I'm just going to meet them at a site at the end of their Jane's bike ride tour, and talk about beavers at the end of their tour. So I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of snake fence making time tomorrow. And then there's a Métis walk on Sunday, so I don't know, but we'll get it in there between now and the weekend. I even told the Riverstone clients that it might not be till Monday till I put in the snake fence, and we'll see. Oh, heard a ringneck pheasant. I'm hearing house finches, red-winged blackbirds, seeing geese. I know, of course, there's chickadees around, and pheasants around, and magpies around, and flickers around, and downy woodpeckers, and robins, and I'm just looking at who this is over here. Let me get out my other camera so we can look closer. It appears to be a yellow rump warbler. See if I can get a good shot of him. Might be difficult. There he is. Oh, he just went down. Look back up. There he is. Yeah, yellow-rumped warbler. Looks like he's kind of hunting for insects on the wing. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to show the Métis Nation clients a good number of birds when they get out here. But it's hard to say with the conditions Spokane has been in. You know, Forest Main burned down a few years ago, and it's not bounced back to the diversity it once had, even on the water. But that's different issues. Anyway, yeah, so I got some work cut out for me. I also want to put in my garden this weekend. So 2 big jobs, and the gardening, and a few eco tours, and my Sunday morning walk and talk. So I got shit to do. But I was thinking, I've been meaning to start maybe a new series of videos or a new playlist on here. I get lots of, sometimes people asking me about my background, sometimes people making comments as though I'm trying to hide my background, you know, and identity issues people have with me and stuff. So I've been considering making a playlist that is Ryan's memoirs, basically. I feel like I've had, at this point, I'm in my 3rd life, so to speak. my third instar, my third metamorphosis. You know, I was born, I think from birth, I'd say until I was starting to come into the Blackfoot world in my early 20s, I would consider that my first life, and that included my military experience, part of my undergraduate training, you know, all of my formative years growing up in Western Oregon. Moving into my second life, I came here and really got entrenched in the Blackfoot world. And, you know, I took a new name. Well, I had a new name given to me. And I also took a new name too. And I had some different experience. I was a college professor during my second life. I was an Eochgimi, an active beaver man taking care of a bundle. I had a really interesting second life with lots to share. I had a really interesting first life. I mean, a lot of people, you know, they look at my life now. Oh, look at this. This is what I was hoping to see. This is a very snaky area of heritage. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I just lost that other camera. But you can see there's a big rattlesnake here, along with a garter snake. Yeah, this is the very snaky area of Heritage Heights. This is not the main rattlesnake den. This is actually the garter snake den, but some rattlesnakes can hole up here. And there's bull snakes that den in here too. Basically, this whole kind of ridge in here, or this whole shelf, has a lot of erosion, and those erosion splits go way down into the earth, and that gets snakes below the frost level, which is what they need for winter. And so this is really kind of perfect denning area for some of these. Well, for all of the different species that live in Lethbridge, you'll find them all here, you know. But yeah, I was thinking I should start a collection of memoirs, you know, so that anybody that has questions about me and who I am and what my past is and stuff, and if they think I'm trying to hide that, I can always just refer them, hey, go look at this playlist. You can learn all you want about me. Oh goodness, we got beautiful pelicans down there. I'm gonna put another memory card in that other camera so we can take a look. Yeah, I'm kind of dumb. I should have made sure I had plenty of battery power before I left the house, but I don't. It looks like this battery even's only got half of its life, and in my other camera it's only got about a half-life of battery, so that kind of sucks. We are going to run out of juice before I get the memories recorded that I was thinking I might record today, you know. And yeah, for those who feel like, man, Ryan has this crazy life, it's always challenges and always changing and dynamic and drama, and he sometimes makes wacky decisions that are gonna lead him into trouble. All that's been going on all my life, so I've had a lot of crazy experiences. I'd love to put some of those on the record for posterity, you know. Eventually I'm gonna get Alzheimer's or dementia from, or both, from all of my jostling my brain around in different scenarios. And you know, it'd be kind of cool to have these videos out there just so I can jog my own memory in my old age, maybe, you know, remind myself of these stories and things that I've lived, hey? But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll make a playlist, and you know, once a week or so, who knows, maybe make a new memoirs video. So today, I don't know where to start, but seems like if you're gonna start with something biographical, you might as well start with the earliest stuff, right? Go linear. I won't always go linear, but today we're going linear. So we'll go back to early childhood memory. Birth, early childhood memory. We'll talk a little bit about what was Rye up to then. Just came across a big bull snake. See, again, I told you, this ridge here has all the snake dens. Look at this guy. What a beautiful snake he is. Just emerging from a hole here. It's gonna get upset at me. Yeah, I hear ya. I know. I know. You're very mad. Very angry bull snake. Ikso kapikit sinos. He doesn't feel the same. Look at this guy. Not happy. Not a happy snaky poo. Alright, relax. I'm gonna leave you alone. Just showing everybody. Yeah. This is a great area in here. Even just walking that trail there, it's a really good area to keep an eye out for bull snake encounters. Alright, we will get into early childhood. So, I was born in the hospital at Newport Beach, California on this day in 1972. I was given the name Ryan Alexander Hancock, the initials of which are the same as my father's, and I think his dad before him. They were both Ralph Hancocks. My dad was a Ralph Andrew, and his dad was, I don't know his middle name. His dad was a orphan in Brooklyn, New York. Had one brother named Lonnie, also an orphan. And this is where the last name Hancock came from. It's obviously a English name. On my dad's side, his dad. On his mom's side, it was all like Irish Catholic, Scottish Armstrong clan. Hey, that's our family from my dad's mom's side, and very strong Catholic family on that side. One of my grandmother's sisters was a nun all her life. We called her Aunt Sister. On my mom's side, my mom's family came to California from Chicago. My dad's came from Brooklyn. And obviously before that, from England and Scotland and Ireland. My mom's family came to California from Chicago, and before that, France, Germany, and here in Quito. On my mom's side, on her dad, it's French and Blackfoot. And on my mom's side, it's French and Blackfoot and German Jew. And growing up, you know, basically I was told that there was a long period where the Blackfoot connection and the Jewish connection were both pretty much hidden from family or from neighbors and community and stuff like this, because, you know, you'd have people being racist to you if they found out that was your genetic background or whatever. But that's where, you know, that's where I come from, all of those different layers. I think the reason my mom's French and Blackfoot ancestors ended up in Chicago was because of the 1924 Indian Reorganization Act in the United States. Kind of legislation that didn't occur up here in Canada until the 1960s, which ended the residential schools, turned them to day schools, community-controlled day schools, got rid of Indian agents on the reserve, installed tribally run governments, and set out what I consider to be basically a kind of a false invitation for people to come off the reserve and participate in the national economy while keeping the culture. You know, before the Indian Reorganization Act, everything had been assimilation oriented, and then after that, you know, it wasn't heavy assimilation, but that's when the biggest assimilation occurred, because, you know, even in the residential schools and stuff, they never took anybody's language. They sure tried, you know. They sure tried, but everybody who went through residential school, for the most part, still speaks fluent Blackfoot. And so there was a failed attempt to take the language. And but afterward, oh, there's a pelican sitting on an island out there. I hope there's some pelicans for those folks to see when we come out on Sunday. When that invitation to come participate in the broader economy occurs, though, then at that point you see the cutoff of fluency, because all of a sudden people struggle and really work hard to try to gain that English fluency, and English becomes the household language ever after. And this is also why you have the difference in cutoff and fluency rate between the United States Blackfoot, where the fluency cutoff is, you know, roughly 1930, and Canada Blackfoot, where the fluency cutoff is roughly, you know, 1970, like my age. So, any case, that's the whole genetic background and stuff I was born into. And it was the era of the Vietnam War. You know, the Vietnam was just getting over in 1972, wrapping up. My dad had avoided being drafted into Vietnam by joining the Coast Guard. And while he was away, he was already married to my mom, and she, I guess, followed him a little bit. She went to the East Coast and stayed for a little bit, and then stayed back in California waiting for him. And she'd worked different jobs. I think she worked as a and this might have not even been till a little bit later when I was born. She worked at a Kodak photo mat, one of those old, you know, they used to have the little photo mats in the big department store parking lots. It's little photo mats where you can go get your photos developed and stuff. She worked at one of those. She worked at a Playboy club. She was a waitress with the little ears and the bunny tail and all of that in the Playboy club. My dad went in the Coast Guard, got stationed in the Philippines for a big part of it. And while he was away, he was planning to go on a big bike tour when he came back, like a like a motorcycle tour with his two brothers, Donald and George. And unfortunately, before they were able to do that, George was in an accident where he got bumped off of his motorcycle and hit his head on the concrete, brain dead, and buried. So that event really traumatized both my dad's family and part of my mom's, because my mom's brothers, both of my parents were kind of in big families. My dad had 4 siblings, my mom had 6 siblings. Both of them had alcoholic fathers. My mom's dad was kind of more of a mean drunk. My dad's dad was a happy, giddy drunk, but when I knew him, you know, even into his older age, he was still getting in scraps and stuff, you know. He was still a little bit crazy. I've got that running through my blood. But anyway, when George died, all the boys were tight, hey? Including my mom's brothers were pretty tight with. My mom's brothers Scott and Lee were pretty tight with George and Donald too. So all the boys got kind of thrown off course, traumatized. I think my dad probably took it the best, but his brother Donald went off the deep end and ended up pretty much homeless most of his life, hey? And one of my favorite uncles, well, I only had a few uncles, but for my dad's side, Donald was my only uncle. And I found in my stuff at the house going through storage, I found some little thing that I'd written in grade school or something. They wanted you to describe your favorite relative, and I had listed Donald as my favorite. And, you know, you'll hear some stories about Donald. But on my mom's side, my favorite uncle was Lee. And Lee spent most of his life in prison for various burglaries and such. And so, yeah, all the boys were just thrown way off course by the trauma. And, you know, probably by just growing up with drunken dads and having rough experiences and such. And my dad's sisters were pretty, like, one of them was older and pretty even keeled, intelligent woman, and clean, keeping her nose clean. My dad's younger sister was more like a big hippie. Like, I remember her bedroom in my grandparents' house in Costa Mesa was totally painted up like those characters from the Yellow Submarine, in that kind of way of painting and stuff, animating. But it wasn't the actual Beatles Yellow Submarine characters, but it was in that style. But it's always like right crazy when we go visit that house and stay in that room, the colorful walls. But yeah, she's a real hippie and kind of well, she's still a California girl. She's just a surfer girl, hippie, kind of. I think she melted her brain a little bit on the acid of the day and such like that. This is the group that I'm born into. I don't have, of course, memories of myself as a baby. My mom, however, took lots of photos and stuff like that. I have a baby album. I can see some of what was going on and stuff. But I don't have a bunch of memory of it. One of the first things that probably that maybe made a big imprint on my mind, enough that, you know, it strikes me that it needs to be part of this narrative, part of this story, is something that my dad told me. I don't even have a memory of it, but my dad remembers it very well. he says, and this is the thing about my dad, like, he really, he benefits children when he's around them, and working with them, but he's also like, you kind of don't want him around your kids, because it's always a little risky, you know. I remember one time, like when my brother started having kids, his oldest son, I remember one time my dad put duct tape in his hair, like slapped a piece of duct tape onto my nephew's hair, and just as a joke, as a gag joke, to see him work up. But they ended up really like trapped in his hair, and the kid ended up crying, and it was a big scene. And that's my dad. Like he slid me down a metal slide head first in Costa Mesa. I think that slide is still there. There's a park there with this cement airplane, hey, and that cement airplane is definitely still there. I can see it on Google Earth, but I remember it as a kid. And there was a one of those tall metal slides there. He slid me down head first when I was too small to control anything, and I smashed my face in the end and ended up with a bunch of scar tissue in my lip. So when I was a kid growing up, most of the time my bottom lip was fatter than it should be. I had a big swollen fat bottom lip full of scar tissue from this. But in any case, that's not the occasion I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to mention was, he told me there was a time when he was taking me for a walk. He used to take me out and let me touch everything and see things, and he still does that when he's got kids in his arms. He'll take them around and let them feel everything, hey, touch everything, put their mouths on stuff and what have you. So we came across a tomato worm, one of these big green caterpillar looking tomato worms, big fat green worm. And apparently I was just fascinated by this tomato worm, as my dad tells the story, hey. I was just squat down, looking at it, studying it. And as I was studying it, my dad stepped on it and squished its guts all over the place. Hey, look at this. It is asparagus season. Ah, yes. Nothing like fresh, wild grown asparagus. Yeah, I figured that would be coming out today, along with morel mushrooms. Anyway, my dad squished this tomato worm right in front of my eyes, squished his guts out. And then my response was, I ended up making the most horrible, disgusted, twisted up face, that he'd seen. Right away he felt kind of terrible for doing that to me, hey? Because I was just very disturbed by what happened. And I think, from that point on, he never did stuff like that. Like he always respected animals around me. He never just killed them for no reason. Not that he didn't kill animals with me later. I know we'll get into those stories. But there was a whole period when he was trying to teach me where my food is coming from and such, where we did several butcherings And there was lots of adventures around that too. But anyway, that was the experience with the tomato worm. One of my first animal experiences that I remember. I don't really have much memory, early memory, of my mom's family. I know from my baby books that my mom was having me hang around with my cousin Andrea, who's about a year older than me. There's a lot of pictures of me and Andrea together, and that's a cousin on my mom's side. Yeah, I have a lot of memories of those grandparents and that side of my family from a little bit later, but I think from when we actually lived in California, I only have memories of my dad's immediate family. Now, he has a lot of family in California, up by San Francisco and Sacramento and stuff. There's a lot of Armstrongs now. I guess all of the family that were around us in California, there was a lot of drug use and alcohol and this kind of thing. My parents didn't really like it, hey? And that's what ultimately let them move us away. But while we were there, I do remember my my dad's parents' house. I remember their dog, who was named Puppy, and I had a stuffed animal, like a blue and white checkered stuffed animal dog, which I still have, by the way, that I named Puppy after that dog, Puppy. I remember my grandma had a greenhouse. There was a avocado tree in the backyard that my dad planted when I was born. I wonder if that's still there. Probably. There was a kind of a eucalyptus tree with the bark. I used to think of it like the puzzle tree, because the bark would come off in puzzle-like pieces. Hey, there were lots of big snails in that yard in Costa Mesa. A couple of palm trees out front. There was a lemon tree, and my grandma used to make her own fresh everything. Like, she baked fresh bread. You know, she did baked goods. And definitely made her own fresh lemonade and stuff. Everything was hand done, like old style. Hey, I remember they had one of those pianos that has that written music where you can, on the scrolls, where the piano can kind of play itself if you want it to, with those written scrolls. And they used to watch Sha Na Na. I remember watching Sha Na Na at my grandparents' house. And then my Uncle Donald lived there, and that's where I got to know him. He would like play football and stuff with me in the backyard. I learned things quickly. I think my dad was really focused on my early teachings, like the important things. So, for instance, I think I was out of diapers by year 2 and using the toilet. You know, none of this 3 and 4 year old still can't control their washroom stuff. I was reading and I was memorizing stories, hey? Peter Pan, Pinocchio. My parents had audio recordings of me telling those stories, just like I think I was flipping through books of those stories, but not actually reading it. I just knew the story as though it had been as though I was reading it, and I would tell that story. I memorized entire Beatles albums. I would sing. I had a really strong mind. My dad made sure I knew. I had a really solid grasp of basic math, you know, plus and addition and subtraction, and math and basic mathematics. And I could read all before I ever went into primary school, you know. And so when I compare this to like when I myself ended up in the relationship with Mahoney and raising Justine had grown up here, and she didn't have any of those skills going into primary school. And I think a lot of Blackfoot kids don't, you know. They don't know how to read and do math beforehand, and that's what sets them back from the beginning, hey? And it sucks because you're not supposed to have that stuff coming in the door. That's where you're supposed to learn it, at school. But that's not where you learn these things. And, you know, this is something that I can really appreciate now. You know, if you're going to learn things like English and math and, you know, reading, writing, you're going to learn like all of these kind of things. It's or language in general. You know, if you try to learn French or Spanish or anything, you're not going to learn it in school, you know. You're not going to learn it in school. School can give you practice, but you better have those tools from home, you know. So I was given those tools up front. My dad, I think, made sure I was trained for, you know, so I would succeed in school. And I don't know. That's just what it was. Now, none of this stuff is really you know, hard memory for me, except some of the stuff like the description of my grandma's house and all of that. That's in there, hey. But actual, you know, events that occurred and stuff like that, I don't remember them. Of course, I was too young. I don't remember anything before we moved to Oregon. And we moved to Oregon when I was 5 years old, and my young brother was 3. Hey, I do recall the night that my younger brother was born, because I remember. I remember my grandparents, my dad's side, that I stayed with them the night my little brother was born. I didn't like staying away from my parents. When I did get to first grade, it was a big trauma. We'll talk about that in another video. Yeah, that's kind of what I remember from the California days. And my parents decided to uproot. My dad drove up to check out Western Oregon and really loved it, and thought he would move us up there. So we moved into Salem, and we lived in an apartment complex. My mom got a job at a Skipper's fish and chips restaurant, and my dad was working as an electrician, and he worked as an electrician his whole life, and it was a trade that actually my mom's dad brought him in on. So my mom's dad was an electrician, and a really good one. He was actually John Wayne's private electrician, and he set up John Wayne's whole mansion and house and stuff, all his property, to everything be running automatically, like curtains open automatically and different stuff, pool lights turn on and this and that. You know, back then, 1960s and 70s, they really didn't have a lot of automated stuff in the homes. My grandpa was making up all of that stuff, and he became good friends with John Wayne, drinking buddies. And according to my grandma, you know, when they get together, they're pretty rough. They be cussing each other out and real disrespectful to each other, but that's just the way that they were in their relationship and stuff. That's just the way they talk to each other. But they really were good friends. And my grandparents got a lot of hand-me-down stuff from John Wayne, some of which, you know, the family still has. I had well, not me, my mom had some of the Time magazines from the Kennedy assassination, and they were Time magazines taken from John Wayne's house. And they had his mailing sticker and everything still on there. And I thought the John Wayne mailing sticker was the cool thing. So at one point I took one of those off of one of the Time magazines, and I kept it. I still have it. I've had it ever since. But it would have been much cooler if I had taken the whole magazine with it, with that label, because, you know. So, but anyway, we moved to Oregon. My dad was the electrician. My mom was mostly a full-time mom, you know, but she started working at Skipper's for extra money in the evenings and stuff. My dad's off work and can watch us and this kind of thing. And we lived in that apartment complex, and I had some experiences there. Let's see, how's the battery doing? We are almost out of battery, so I think I'm gonna shut off the camera for now. Maybe drive home, get a little snack and stuff, make sure I got the right equipment in my truck, and we'll go check out that house where I need to do the raccoon shielding today. Figured I better eat something before I go do my next job. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I do this a lot to myself. I'll go out and I'll work all day or do whatever all day, and I don't eat. I don't eat until I'm like done my stuff. Then I eat, but feeling pretty hungry. We did get some rain clouds coming past. That's why I've stuck around the house a little bit. And but at this point I'm like, oh, I gotta put something in my stomach. And what I was holding off for was, I want to treat myself to maybe an enchilada or something like that tonight. Some kind of tacos or enchiladas or burritos or something, you know. Some Mexican food is what I want for my birthday meal. So I was kind of holding off, but now I'm too hungry. It's time to eat. I'll figure that out later. So I've just reheated a couple of pieces of pizza that Sheena had bought some pizza the other night. So I'll eat some of that, and then we can get back into the story perhaps. Although I don't want to do too much more for this video because it's getting long already, right? And we're coming out of California. I did remember a few other things I want to talk about pertaining to California time. A few other things I want to mention, so I'll mention those, and I think we'll save the transition to Oregon for a future video, perhaps. Yeah. But anyway, man, things are nice now. I wish I was on top of that house right now. Probably when I go out there, it'll start raining again. I'm gonna eat my lunch here. I just got my annual happy birthday song message to me from my friend Darren in San Francisco. He does this every year, and Brittany used to get a wicked kick out of it. She would say he's singing to you like Marilyn Monroe sang to that John Kennedy and stuff, you know. Here, let's check it out.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ryan. I love you, man. You're an amazing human being. So proud to know you. Don't let the shade fall on your shadow to your heart.
Yeah, my annual birthday message from Darren. That's pretty good stuff. All right, I suppose we should go out and climb up on top of a house. Just gonna go up and get our first look up here on this roof. See if the raccoon who visited has actually broken in at all or not. See how many angles we got to work with and what tools we're gonna need. Alright, this looks good tight here. Gonna need my usual assortment of stuff to take off the drain and all of that. Let's see what we got going on over here. Corner number 2. Also has not been bust through by a raccoon as yet. No more roof this way. Let's go. Oh, there's a little corner here. Yeah, this should be secured too, so that would be number 3. Is there one on this side? No. Four and 5, and these ones have definitely been tested by a raccoon, but not broken into. So that's 4 and 5. And do we have another one lower? No. All right, so we got 5. Go down and start getting tools and get things ready. And maybe as I work, I'll tell stories. We'll see. I'm going to start up at these high ones that the raccoons were obviously trying to get in and didn't. And sometimes the reason that they don't get in is because there's already it's already well shielded. So I gotta kind of check into that, see what the situation is behind here and whether this is already kind of shielded in the fence or not. So a couple of the things that I thought about that I had not remembered while walking this morning is that some of my other memories of childhood in Southern California, I remember also being very into the $6 Million Man. It was on TV, as well as like Batman and Robin, the old like live actor version Batman and Robin. I remember what else was it? There was another TV show, oh, like Sigmund the Sea Monster, Land of the Lost, the all of that stuff from Sid and Marty Krofft. You know, Dr. Shrinker, the Bugaboos, all that stuff. I was really into all of that. And in some cases, like Batman and Robin and stuff, I actually had like action figures and stuff like that to go along with it. And action figures were just starting to be a thing, I think. I mean, I think that they were big, like kind of 8-inch guys at that point. You know, you had like the real G.I. Joe. You basically had dolls for boys, eh? And I had some of those kind of things that I was into. Definitely the Bionic Man, especially. Let's see here. This does not look like it's shielded at all up under here. Well, let's see. Oh, it's pretty close. Pretty close to being secure. But it's not quite. They could get in. Yeah, it's possible they could get in here, so I'm gonna need to install actual shielding for sure. Yeah, occasionally I come across a house where they want me to install shielding, and I'll break in under the soffit, and I realize that there's no way a raccoon is getting in there anyway. They don't really need the shielding, and when I see an area where it looks like a raccoon has tried to get in and been unsuccessful, you know, I start wondering whether or not we need anything for them. But in this case, I think we do. I think we do. If he's able to break in just a little bit under this back end of the soffit. Yeah, all right. So now we got piece of soffit coming down. I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, so if he was able to get up in here, I don't know if he can go back that way anyway. I think so, but definitely this gap here he could climb around under. So I'm gonna put a board in here. I'm gonna secure a board in here so that he cannot do that stuff. But I think the reason he wasn't able to get in here is because this soffit was actually just stapled in really nice and good, and it's not always the case that people do that. Let's see. So I am gonna need to cut for this side, and no doubt that other side. I'll measure this. Yeah, so I remembered those TV shows, those toys, and also my family on my dad's side, one of their uncles was big in pretty high up in Disney. He ran, I think he was the executive running the entire Disney food services for the Florida Disney World. That was my understanding. And so, you know, as such, whenever my parents wanted to go to take us to Disneyland or something, it wasn't a problem. They contacted the uncle, and we had, you know, free admissions and rides and services, and that was one of his perks. Oh, my tape measure right sucks. Be 20 inches, 20-inch width. Alright, so we need to cut some 20-inchers, a couple of 20-inchers. Guess I might as well do that right away, and then we'll look at the others. Back home now. 3 hours of labor up on the roof to install those 5 corner shields, but decided to spare you guys all of the all of the boring work and all of that and just get going. Have I forgotten to say anything about my time in age 1 to 5 California? I do remember visiting Universal Studios, which reminds me, I do remember seeing Jaws, 1977. I'm pretty sure we saw it in California. Pretty sure my mom took me to go see it with her friend Bonnie, who I call Aunt Bonnie still. She's still, she's probably more of an aunt to me than most of my actual biological aunts. She actually follows me and pays attention to what I'm doing and has interacted with me my whole life. So, yeah, I remember going to see Jaws. Hey, so I think by that time in my life I had seen some Disney movies and I had seen Jaws, which I love Jaws, you know. Look, Amity Island, no swimming, beaches closed. 1975. Thought it was 77, but 75, so I'd have been 3-4 years old in California. That makes sense. Yeah, I know I seen it early. My first rated R film. I think it was rated R. I don't know, but it was scary. Anything else? McDonald's was a big thing. I remember they were putting on shows at the McDonald's. They had like big extravagant stage shows and stuff with all the characters and things. What else do I recall? I think that's about it. All right, so it's my first little memoir, and of course this is an era when there's not a lot of interesting things going on. I'm basically just a grub, so they'll get more exciting, trust me, but might as well start at the beginning. So until next time. Oh, check out this new dog. Hey, come here. This is Kane. Look at Kane. Oh, big Kane. He's a pit bull, of course. Little pit bull. Tiger colored hair. Oh, he's so chicken. New boy, I gotta get to know him. All right, sayonara.